Welcome to NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. This is Prep Recruiting Insider, where you'll get the latest on all of the best high school football recruits in the city, in the state, in the country. And this is also the place for speed, NOLA Motorsports Park, home of Prep Recruiting Insider. Hi, thanks for joining us again. I am Ro Brown, and we are very happy to have you here. Happy New Year, and we're happy to have Renee Nato, as always, the Prep Recruiting Insider. Renee, it has been quite a week as far as recruiting is concerned.
And it's not finished yet, but yeah, they had some guys, some local guys who have been on the show, who committed, made their decision known publicly, where they're going to be going. It was an interesting past 4 or 5 days.
Several national recruits who are local recruits making their commitments, verbal commitments at the Under Armour All-American game in Florida. One of those was Speedy Noel of Edna Carr.
And Speedy, you know, it surprised me, didn't shock me. The thing is that he had close ties with Texas A&M crew, Noel Ellis, who he played with at Carr, and you know, I think that's a good fit for him. You may see him on both sides of the ball. He's that talented.
So Speedy will be gigging him. He will be a Texas A&M Aggie, playing, of course, there in College Station, Texas. And the big one that most people were waiting for was Leonard Fournette, the outstanding running back, St. Augustine High School, also at the Under Armour. His selection was...
We're going to have a chance to talk with Leonard a little bit, and he made a lot of people locally happy, but it's a good decision for him. And he had a chance to play at a lot of different schools, but he's not only, the thing that impressed me about Leonard, having spoken with him many times, is not only is he a good football player, but a class individual, and he's a guy that has a big impact on that locker room.
So he will be an LSU Tiger, playing there for Les Miles. That was his commitment last week. We have a big show for you. As Renee mentioned, we will have Leonard Fournette and some of his St. Augustine teammates who will be heading on to outstanding colleges. They are outstanding players. But before that, we'll talk to some Brother Martin Crusaders. Coach Mark Bonice will be here with a few of his blue chippers. One who is already knows where he's going, and the other three, well, we'll find out maybe sometime next year. We'll be right back on PRI after this. Welcome back to PRI, Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park. We are in the event center. All kinds of meeting space here. You can have your parties, meetings, anything you want to do right here at NOLA Motorsports Park. Renee Nato is still with us, the Prep Recruiting Insider. And Renee, we are joined by a couple of guys who are in red and gold. Head coach Mark Bonice of the Brother Martin Crusaders to the far left, and in the middle, one of his blue chippers headed to LSU with a familiar last name, William Clapp. Guys, thanks for joining us on PRI.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here. Got to ask Mark, first of all, Coach Bonice, you've been there 8 years. I cannot believe you've been at Brother Martin 8 years. 11 years in coaching. You guys have a very young team. You're losing some guys like William Clapp.
Sure.
But you got a young team. We're going to have to talk to some of these guys coming on.
Sure.
Catholic League is back. Talk a little bit about that and what it looks like for 2014 and beyond.
Catholic League's great. You know, it's great to have it back. Obviously, it's one of the best leagues in the state, if not the best league in the state. I mean, you go in every year. You know, people talk about the SEC. To me, it's the SEC. You know, of high school football. There's never a game off, never a week off, and it's always fun. It's the reason. I'll tell you this. You know, I started off at the college level. It's one of the reasons why I'm back in the high school level is the ability to play in those type of rivalry football games. Really excited about our upcoming season. You know, our biggest issue this year is we graduate all but one offensive lineman, but besides that, we're really excited about the young talent that we've had playing. We've made some decisions a couple of years ago to play some sophomores, some freshmen, and we really believe that we're going to reap the benefits of the future within the next couple, really this upcoming season.
It's January, and he says, I'm really excited about our upcoming season like it's August, you know?
Football never ends.
It never ends.
There's different phases. There's different phases. Spring practice and also, it never ends.
Yeah, right after this, we're going back, and we've got a great workout plan for our underclass when we get back. So, it never ends. You know, in order for you to compete in the type of district that we play, and in order for you to keep up with the teams in the state. I mean, think about, some of the great players that come out of the state. Think about the great teams that are in the state. You've got to do that in order to keep up.
Mm-hmm. And one of the great high school players this year was this young man, William Clapp. How much you weighing now, guy?
I'm at 6'5", 290.
6'5", 290. And I mentioned he has a familiar last name because he is the son of Tommy Clapp, who you may remember was a Brother Martin Crusader and an LSU Tiger and an outstanding player. I'm sure you know, that had a lot to do with where you ended up committing, going to college.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about that, about your dad being an LSU guy, and I guess kind of growing up with it.
It's great. I've always grown up a Tiger fan. You know, right when you get into my house, tons of Tiger stuff, and just it was an easy decision after a couple months on the recruiting scene, and I felt great just into the decision with LSU.
Never really thought about anybody else at all?
Alabama was close for a while, but LSU just felt like home.
Okay.
Now, how close have you been keeping up with the recruiting? Got one of your future teammates coming on a little while. Have you been kind of keeping up and maybe texting guys, kind of encouraging them to be a Tiger?
I've gotten to be friends with a lot of the commits in our class. Keep in touch with Trey Quinn, Garrett Brumfield, and just a bunch of the guys that have committed over the course this year.
Now, you know, you're 6'5", 290. You run pretty well. You got a little nasty in you. Are they looking at you as a tackle or guard, even some reps at center? What's the long-range plan for you, William?
The coaches told me they look at me as a versatile player, so I could end up playing guard or tackle as a freshman. Just depends where I get on the field soonest.
Mark, what's his strength as a lineman?
You know, I'll say this, he's one of the first guys in, you know, student of the game, always say that, and one of the funnest things about watching William is that he's a guy who finished blocks. I mean, if you look at his highlight video, you can really watch pretty much every play in a game, okay, and it looks like a highlight video. He's sitting there trying to finish blocks, playing through the whistle. You know, LSU really got a great recruit in William.
Are you, what kind of a relationship do you with Coach Studdraw right now? I know he's going to be the guy who's going to be answering, you're going to be answering to. What kind of relationship do you have with him so far?
It's been great. I mean, I trust him a lot, just like the coaches I have with Brother Martin. He's really formed a great relationship with me, and I just feel comfortable with my decision every time, just from the relationship I've built with the coaches.
I want you to ask that question after summer camp.
Your dad was a defensive lineman at LSU. You're on the offensive side of the ball. You ever thought about it? You ever tried to encourage you to get on the side where you can, not just hit people, but hit people?
Well, when I came here as an 8th grader, I wanted to be a defensive lineman, but Coach Durang and Coach Benice had a different idea, and I'm glad it happened for the best.
You're on the right side.
He is.
Don't talk about that.
He is.
There's no question about that. Yeah. How much has he grown? And I don't mean physically.
I mean, it's physically, obviously, he has grown out, as we've seen eighth grade through his senior year. But as a leader, just the whole maturation process has been very evident. He's been a great leader for us through, watch him from his sophomore year when he started all the way through his senior year. He's been a great leader on and off the field. So really excited. Hate to see William leave. Obviously, when you have a great player at the high school level like that, but really excited to see what his future brings for him.
I got to ask you, Mark, although it's a different sport, the success of the basketball program kind of spills over to the school. Coach Beal's doing a good job with the hardwood guys right now.
Doing a great job. I think Coach Gallagher did a great job, and then after Coach Gallagher, Coach Beal's come in and has built on his success. The big thing is that we've really enjoyed the fact over the last couple of years of having several basketball players on the football team. I think right now we have a good bit. We're going to keep, Coach Beal's a great coach. He's a guy who really believes in, like Coach Gallagher did, in sharing athletes. And nowadays, I mean, especially within the Catholic League, that's real important, and we believe this. We can go and use some of the basketball players coupled with some of the guys that we already have. We're going to be very special. A couple of years back, we're an average football team. We wanted to go and get just 2 basketball players, Myron Chapman and Jabbar Singleton.
Right.
It was a year after after a real good football season for us, where we had Dante Butler, all those guys graduated. Nobody really gave us a chance to be successful. And we picked up 2 or 3 guys from the basketball team. Those were 2 big names, and wound up going 7-3. So it's important, within our league, in order to share athletes with one another for you to be successful.
And I got to mention, I want both of you to talk about this a little bit, because we got about less than a minute to go. But you got a guy who's wearing a national championship right now.
Yes, we're really excited about that. One of our signees from last year, Ryan Hofeld, committed to Florida State, and first year national championship ring. Got to talk to him briefly after the game, so I know he's excited, and really excited for him. And like I told him in a text, enjoyed for this week. but get ready. And it's now time for him to compete for a starting job up there. You know?
Coach Mark Lanise, Brother Martin Crusaders, and William Clapp, outstanding offensive lineman with the Crusaders, headed to LSU. Guys, thank you very much for joining us here on Prep Recruiting Insider.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
We're not finished with the Crusaders. We'll be back with more of the guys from Elysian Fields Avenue right after this.
Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. We're here with 3 juniors, up-and-coming juniors from the Brother Martin Crusaders. To my left, running back Jared West. To his left, defensive end Brendan Hayes. And to his left, linebacker, safety if you will, Roderick Teemer. Glad to have you guys here and excited to have you with you. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the recruiting process. All you guys are juniors. William Clapp is committed, moving on to LSU. Ryan Hofeld is a guy who won a national championship ring with the Florida State Seminoles. First of all, Jared, I'm going to start with you. How much is this process right now? Or are you kind of, when are you going to make up your mind where you may be visiting and what schools may fit your, you got another year to go, but when are you going to start going through the process?
I mean, probably this summer I'll probably start going to different type of camps and things like that just to get my name out there going into my senior year. I mean, it's been kind of slow lately, but I mean, going into the spring and this summer and then the next fall, it should be picking up.
Now you play basketball as well.
Yes, sir.
How does that help you with both sports?
It keeps me, just keeps me going most of the time. I'm always just active, never really take a break. It's always active.
Okay, Brendan, you're a defensive end, and when are you going to start with the process, looking at schools more closely and what fits your skills?
Hopefully around spring and progressing to this summer.
Now, there's some schools that you have heard from yet.
Utah, and I got a camp invite from TCU.
Okay. And Jared, have you heard from schools yet?
Yes, sir. Utah's sending me letters.
Okay. And Roderick, same thing with you, man. You're a guy that runs pretty well. You play linebacker. Were you about 6'2", 190, 195, something?
5'11".
Okay. And they said you have skills to maybe play as a monster back or a strong safety. When are you going to start looking at the process, and what position you feel like you would like to play on the next level?
I've been playing linebacker my whole life, so that's where I'm most comfortable, but I'm open to playing any position as long as I can play.
And what schools, when will you start looking at the process as far as visits are concerned and things like that?
Whenever the schools come to me.
Okay.
In spring, hopefully summer.
Okay. Catholic League back in again, and I guess I'll start with you. Roderick, kind of feels good right now to you guys as a Catholic League are back, and why is that important to you?
It's the tradition. Growing up, my dad went to Brother Martin, so I was always watching the games and wanting to play in the Catholic League, so I'm happy it's back and I can participate in it.
Now, Brendan, St. Augustine coming on a little while. You guys know each other very well, but you know all the schools, the Holy Cross and the Jesuits and the Rummels, so you probably know each other. So it's pretty much like playing against cousins in a way, isn't it?
Kind of. It's really important. Like, every game is a rivalry game, really, if you think about it. Like, every other team in the Catholic League it's a war every Friday, every Saturday, every down.
Now, Jared, you ran for 1,000 yards last year and then had a good sophomore year as well. What do you feel like are some areas you like to work on going into your senior year, and what do you feel like is your strengths as a running back?
The most important area that I really want to work on this upcoming year is my breakaway speed, which I got caught 1 or 2 times. They always joke around that I get caught like every game. I mean, that's just something that we play around with. It's something I just want to focus on, and then and then another weakness I have is that I feel as if I have to gain at least 15 pounds for next year to have just be more durable. And one of the strengths that I have, I would say, is that I really see the holes well, and I could read defenses right before the plays. Because most of the time I could just look at their eyes and see which way they're trying to go to, and I just have great vision.
I'm going to start with you in the last 2 minutes here. Why are you encouraged by next year for the Crusaders? A lot of young guys coming back, but why are you encouraged as a team?
I just feel like as if we just have a lot of young kids playing, last year. And I think this year coming up, I just think that we're all going to be older, more mature, and I think we just need to get the job done for next year.
Now, Brendan, you're about, what, 6'4", 6'5"?
6'4".
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Why are you encouraged right now defensively, why Brother Martin may have a good team next year?
The process that Coach Benitez puts us through gets us ready.
Okay, and Roderick, why are you encouraged? Why do you think, as you guys get ready, I guess, for spring practice, and Coach was saying just a few minutes ago that you got some things coming up that make this team better. Why do you feel like this is going to be a special year, 2014?
We've been working. I mean, the past 2 years, we've been working, and we haven't really got the results that we hoped for. So I think this is our year. We've been playing. We got a lot of experience as a team. We got people coming back, and we got freshmen that got experience last year that's playing. So I feel excited about watching those guys play with me.
Okay, well, Roderick, Brendan, and Jared, we appreciate you guys coming on. I hope we get to see you next year when this process kind of speeds up a little bit and we'll have a better and clearer picture on where you guys may be visiting.
Yes, sir.
Good luck.
sir.
We'll be right back with more on Prep Recruiting Insider right here at NOLA Motorsports in Avondale, Louisiana. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Now it is time for our Lamarck Ford Legends of the Game segment. Ronnie Lamarck and Lamarck Ford, sponsors of this segment. It is our Legends of the Game segment. And if you've noticed an airplane flying around with the word believe behind it, the man responsible for that is Ronnie Lamarck, who wants you to believe. Our legend of the game this week is here twofold because he is the head coach at St. Augustine High School, and a lot of people might not know or might not remember. He was a pretty good football player as a running back at Covington High School for the legendary Jack Salter, who we all know and love, and he also got a championship ring, if y'all got rings back then. National championship, 1AA at Northeast Louisiana. He is Cyril Crutchfield. Coach, how you doing? Good to have you here.
I'm glad to be here, Ro.
You beat Marshall by 1 point, right?
Yes, by 1 point.
Yeah, that was a good team.
Used to bring the wood at strong safety, sir.
Yeah, I think I'm paying for it now.
You feel it every
Yes,
day,
definitely.
especially on these chilly days like we've had
Cold.
recently.
Exactly.
Well, you were down on the Armour game. How was that whole experience for you, man? You were down there for a week?
I told him he looked pretty on TV. Go
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Well, you know what I tell you, it was really, truly remarkable. The amount of exposure the kids were able to garnish. How they just treated they treated them with royalty. They didn't want for anything for us. We went to practice, going to the theme parks, food, so it was definitely something. It's definitely an honor to be invited, and I would tell anyone that has the invitation, you jump on it because it's definitely an experience that you will remember for the rest of your life.
How has recruiting been for the head coach? Because you have a gentleman who is considered the #1 recruit in the country, and you had other recruits as well. How does all this figure into your life, Cyril?
I'll tell you what, it's been very time consuming, but that's what we're here for, and ultimately, with them being student athletes, our job and our main job is to prepare them for the next level. And that next level is being able to go and take what education you have on the high school level and apply that to the collegiate level, whether you play football or not. So this year was one that I have never ever experienced, and it'll be a long time before I experience this type again. For one, having the #1 player, and we'll probably sign 18 young men this first Wednesday in February.
So what's more difficult, being the coach of a lot of people who are being recruited or being the father or stepfather of someone being recruited? Which one do you like best? Because Bradley Sewell, of course, at Alabama and South Platte, stepson.
That was a lot. That was a lot easier. Calls early in the morning, late at night. So as much as I complain, I'm not going to complain anymore because this time next year, there's a reason why people are calling because you got good players.
Right.
So for some that might be a hassle, but then that's something. So it's a good and bad. So it's definitely an experience.
What was a side of the recruiting, Cyril, that you saw that maybe was a little bit of a surprise or something that, I don't want to say shocked you, but something that you didn't anticipate?
I guess one was probably how, so when we talk about recruiting, normally we're just talking about the schools that are recruiting the young men, but the media, I mean, they call, and actually coaches, we're in the same profession, they might be on the collegiate level, they have a little decorum about when they're going to call, but man, the media from these different groups trying to be the first one to break a story. Right. I was kind of surprised at that, the amount of the times that they will call, the questions that they would ask, so there is no privacy, and everyone wants the inside scoop, and I can give you one example. I'm at the Under Armour game. They talked to Leonard Fournette, and of course I didn't hear what he was talking about. So I go in halftime, I pick up my phone, they said, there's about 4 or 5 text messages, Crutch, what's the shocking news? And I'm like, well, shocking news, I didn't put anything. Yeah. Well, come to find out, Leonard Fournette had said he's gonna shock the world. So they texted me,
okay.
So they wanted that inside scoop.
When you say media was a pain, present media excluded, am I correct?
Oh, no doubt. Y'all was such a pleasure. I mean, it was so pleasurable for you two guys. Definitely.
You mentioned 18 people, and explain that, because I think you and I talked yesterday, and I mentioned like at McDonough 35, Wayne Reese always has multiple signees every year almost, and people don't realize it because he has lots of people who don't just go to Division I schools or don't just go to SEC schools. There are people who are going to smaller schools, and it's free college. Take it and go.
Yeah, no doubt. And actually, we're in that same situation because when you talk about your top tier D1, the schools that probably played from December 31st through the 4th or 5th, there's probably only 4 young men.
Right.
But our job is to try to find a place for everyone. And no matter where it's at, the main thing that parents need to understand that a free education is a free education.
Right.
So ultimately that's what we're trying to do, and hopefully those 18 young men will go and lead a successful and productive life.
So 2 seasons in, what's it like being the head football coach at St. Augustine High School? And what kind of team you're going to have next year? I may as well ask, that's what people are going to want me to ask you.
Well, so which one you want me to answer first?
It's your decision, Cyril.
It's a little different, there's a lot of expectation, but but that's not a problem because no matter where I'm at, it's going to always be high expectations on myself and my team and that, but for us next year, we got a lot of holes to fill, but the one thing that I talked with, I actually had a conversation this morning. We were in the weight room yesterday, and we got some promising young guys, some hungry young men, and I think with the amount of exposure that we have, they want to be a part of that. So even though we didn't finish off like we wanted to finish, it still gave young men an opportunity to say, man, I want to be a part of that. And when you have someone with a desire to be a part of something, and they're going to make a total commitment, then you have a chance to be successful.
Well, Cyril Crutchfield, head football coach at St. Augustine High School, thank you for joining us here on Prep Recruiting Insider at NOLA Motorsports Park. When we return, we'll talk to a couple of Purple Knights, maybe former Purple Knights now, but good football players nonetheless. We'll be right back after this. welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you again to head coach Cyril Crutchfield of the St. Augustine Purple Knights, Renee. And now we have a couple of Purple Knights with us. To my far left over there is Timothy Dawson II. I knew that part, huh? Timothy Dawson II, who is, as I like to say, is going to go play real college football. He is committed to Yale University, a bulldog of the Ivy League. And sitting next to him is one of his teammates who has become a familiar face, I guess, to people around here. The #1 prep football player in the nation, recruit at least, committed to LSU, making the big decision last week, Leonard Fournette. Good to have you back. Good to have you here for the first time.
Thank you for having us.
So you brought somebody with you. You brought you some shock troops this time.
Yes, sir.
Well, Leonard, when, first of all, we start, I know you've been asked this before, but when did the light come on? It was LSU. When did you make that decision? And what went into it? What sold you on LSU?
Well, it was a very hard decision. You know, me and my father and my mother kept going back and forth on just the overall process between those two schools and how my recruit went with both schools. So it was kind of a last minute thing. I was up to like 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, talking to my parents about, you know, either LSU or Bama. And my mother said, you know, Leonard, just pray on it, whatever God chooses you to come to your mind, what school comes to your mind, then you pick them. LSU it was.
Was there anything special in your trips that maybe favored one over the other?
No, sir. Everything was like, it was pretty much even. You know, the people out there and just the coaches and my relationship with both coaches, it was just even. So I had loved both of the schools.
It really came down that late.
Yes,
You
sir.
really didn't know.
I didn't know at
Until
all.
then.
Yes, sir.
How crazy was that for you?
Just,
you know? Because I mean, you were cool. You know, nobody really got any idea, but you know, I kept thinking inside, he must be turning.
Pretty much this overall, like, you know, people coming up to me just saying, you know, man, stay in state, you know, man, go to Alabama. It's always that. So,
Right.
you know, always in my mind, I'm like, man, they just don't know how hard it is out of these two great programs, and I have two great relationships with all the coaches. So it was the hardest task I ever faced.
Now, before we ask Tim a question, I got to ask you, Jeremy Hill looks like he may be coming back. Would that have played into this process at all? Have you known if he was never leaving?
Nah, not at all. You know, everything in football is about competition, and the best players gonna play every chance, every time on the field. So it doesn't bother me at all. Easy stand, or either if he left. So I guess it's gonna be a 2-for-1 thing now. Me and Jeremy Hill, and the best man shall start.
And as far as young Mr. Dawson is concerned over there, Harvard, Dartmouth, you know, Georgia Tech, Tulane, you know, he ends up going to Yale. You know, it's obvious here's somebody who would be going to college even if he couldn't play a little football.
4.8 grade point average. 4.8 grade point average. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Leonard, what did you say his grade point average is?
9.0.
9.0.
99 on the ACT.
All right, Tim, talk about it, because see, this is a different kind of recruiting, you know, when you're talking about Ivy League schools. Tell us about it, why Yale, and you know, how does that work?
The Ivy League recruiting is real. It's a lot different. It's not scholarships where like they just offer you to come to the school. You actually have to apply. So I had to go through the whole regular application process any other student would have to go to. And they were on me about getting my ACT score up. So I had to study for that, work hard with the ACT, and I wound up getting a 28 on the second to last ACT. So that put me over the mark to where I could get in, and it opened up spots for other players because they were recruiting other players as well. But on my visits, I took a visit to Harvard during the summertime. I went to the camp there. I visited Tulane. I visited Yale. Those are probably my top 3 schools. Tulane because the program is a bigger football program, and Harvard and Yale because they're just the 2 best schools in the country. But I liked Yale better because I had a better relationship with all the coaches there, and it just felt like a place I could stay for the next 4 years of my life.
Now, how many people can say they turned down Harvard?
Not that many.
I mean, you know, how many people can really say that? Ivy League football. You see LSU and Alabama on television a lot. You see Ivy League on television, but you know, outside of weird people like me, nobody really covers Ivy League or even, you know, looks at the standings of the Ivy League. You know, talk a little bit about that.
I'm looking to go to the Ivy League and make it more popular, like be a role model for kids down here for them to look towards going to schools like that. And one day maybe Ivy League will be just as big as LSU.
St. Aug's had Ivy League football players before.
Yeah.
Tony Villegas, Princeton,
Villegas.
Glenn Pratt, Clemson.
Now,
Princeton, so yeah.
now, Tim, what do you plan on majoring in, man?
I plan on majoring in biology, pre-med, and I plan on going to medical school after.
You can be my doctor.
Of course.
Now, Leonard, what are you going to major in, man?
Business and engineering. I'm kind of good with math, with engineering and business. You know, just developing skills of just knowing outside of football. You know, football not gonna last forever for either one of us. So it's always a backup plan. You know, my former coach, Coach David Johnson, he had made an example of a ball and a book, and he said, stand on the ball, see how long you can stand on it. You know, I was trying my best. I was wobbling, then I fell, and he said, stand on the book. And the book, you know, is flat. You know, it ain't gonna go nowhere. So it kind of made sense to me. And my mother's been, you know, she's been instilling that in my mind, my brain since I was young. So right now, that's what I'm focusing on.
Now, you said something. Explain to old school guys like Ro and I, what is the Booger Nation?
Booger is kind of something like our family made up. You know, it's kind of it really means booger no sugar. It means real, not fake. But we kind of made it for everybody. So we made it for the nation, for everybody.
Booger Nation. Okay. All right. Yeah, because people saw the T-shirt and you mentioned it and go, "What is that?" I didn't know what to tell them. So I'm glad you cleared that up.
Yes, sir.
We know what kind of football player you are. And a lot of people do. Give me a scouting report on Timothy.
Okay. Well, let me tell you the truth. You know, when Tim came saying, you know, he wasn't. I don't know how to say it or put it, but he wasn't like us. You know, he acted different. He talked different. So he kind of.
Okay. What you mean when you say it wasn't like us? Do you mean like crazy football player or what?
He wasn't athletic.
Okay.
And then the way he acted, you know, he always distanced himself. So we kind of had to make him feel home. Like, man, you know, we like brothers, man. You know, you joined a new family. You know, I know you came from St. Paul, and I know that the athletic ability probably be a little more different than what you used to. But Tim overall, you know, Tim, he works hard. You know, at practice, you know, I used to stay hitting them, running from, you know, driving them, making them mad, and it made him better as a player and as a young man. You know, he matured a lot. So Tim, great athlete. You know, I think he kind of uses book skills with football. You know, just learning plays and just understanding the game.
What are they going to do with you at Yale? They tell you where you're going to play or what?
I'm probably going to play defensive end, and like the 3-4 scheme, I'll probably play outside linebacker.
You're a sack guy, Tim. I mean, you get up the ball pretty quick.
Yes, sir.
I've done a couple of games. You got a good get off. What areas would you like to improve on?
Definitely my speed and my strength, because the next level to be bigger players, and I'd love to go to the NFL. So you got to get bigger, get faster to compete, and just my knowledge of the game. Can never be too complacent with your knowledge. So every time you move to the next level, you got to learn something else.
Now, Leonard, what that whole experience with the All-Star Week, a lot of fun, a lot of guys you knew. What kind of interaction did you have with the guys, and what kind of experience was that for you?
Well, I'm gonna tell you about the experience. It felt like college. You know, just from high school when I used to practice with my regular teammates, just practicing with them, everything was a lot faster. So every day after practice, I thought in my mind, like, you know, my moves have to be quicker than what they usually are, because you know you playing against 5 stars, they're number one like you, and just overall, like, just meeting them was a great experience, because just for so long, you know, you're hearing about these names. You know, they have so much hype behind them. You just want to meet them and see how they are in person. So I had a great experience meeting everybody up there.
Are you going to wear number 5? Are you going to keep number 5?
I'm wearing number 7 when I get to college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tim, have you gone that far? Do you know what number you may be wearing?
I know I'm not going to be wearing 41. I plan on wearing 11. Trying to drive down, get close to his number.
11? Okay, all right.
That much is going into it already. Okay.
Yeah. I know, I found out from someone who knows you very well, Timothy, that you are a research guy.
Yes, sir.
What did you research about Yale?
Actually,
that made you, you know, tell us some things you found out about Yale that maybe you didn't know before that drove you in that direction.
I actually watched a documentary. It was Harvard versus Yale, and it was pretty interesting documentary. It taught me a lot about
69 game, right?
Yeah.
29-29.
Yep. Learned a lot about the two schools. I also did some research on some alumni from St. Aug who actually went to Yale. I got in contact with one guy named Mitchell Crusto. He was a big influence on me. Another guy, Ray Diamond. He works at the LSU Law program. So they were two big figures that I learned from Yale, and they gave me a lot of information I didn't know about the school, and it was pretty helpful because they came from a background like mine, going to St. Aug. So yeah, those two big things I learned.
Okay, you can always tell him, to my knowledge, that your school has one more Heisman Trophy winner than his school has, okay?
Definitely.
All right? People might not think Yale has one more than LSU has.
You're going to change that, right, Leonard?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all righty. Timothy Dawson, the second, headed to Yale University. Congratulations. And Leonard Fournette,
The third.
the third, headed to Louisiana State University. Guys, thank you for joining us here on Prep Recruiting Insider. It's been a pleasure to watch you guys play, pleasure to watch your careers, and I know you're going to have outstanding collegiate careers. And thank you for being here with us.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
You're watching Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park. We'll be right back with a couple more Purple Knights. One headed to college and one has another year to go to make his decision. We'll be right back after this. Thanks for staying with us here on Prep Recruiting Insider. I'm Ro Brown, Renee Nadeau. Renee, we've got a couple more Purple Knights to our left. Want to introduce these two young men?
Well, to my far left is Stanley Morgan, who a lot of people think may be the best receiver ever to be produced by the St. Aug Purple Knight football team. And to my left is Jermaine Roberts, who I think is the best cover cornerback in the state of Louisiana and one of the best in the country. And right now he's committed to the University of Texas.
Guys, thank you for joining us here on Prep Recruiting Insider. I'll start with you first, Jimmy. Why Texas? And, you know, the obvious question, coaching change there. My good friend Mac Brown is gone. Charlie Strong comes in. You still strong on the Longhorns?
I'm still strong right now. I'm still taking a visit on the 24th to Ohio State. So, but right now I'm still strong. With
And you were going to
Texas.
go to Columbus anyway.
Yeah, I was
So,
going.
yeah.
I was going to go anyway just to visit to see, to still to weigh my options out.
Is anybody else besides Ohio State and Texas in the picture?
No, I mean they still have some coaches want me to come visit, but I don't really pay attention to it.
And you're not going to make your final decision until signing day.
Right.
How was the Under Armour game for you? Because, you know, your position, even more so than Leonard, running back, you know, I mean, how much do running backs really do in the practices? Well, you're a cornerback, you know what I mean? Really, I mean, how much, you know, competition is there really? But when you are a cornerback, you're competing against some of the best receivers, you know, guys like Malachi, you played against before. How was that?
I mean, it was fun. It was a nice experience. Everybody out there was good, so there was a lot of competition. So everybody just is competing with all the best people.
And Stanley, St. Aug has produced more NFL players, 44, than anybody in the state of Louisiana. And also, they're like in the top 5 all-time in the country. And people are calling you maybe the best receiver ever to come out of St. Aug. That carries a lot of weight, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's just good that they think that.
What do you feel like is your strength? You're a junior, and you're getting some feelers right now. Michigan State and Tulane. What are some other schools right now that's talking to you? And when are you going to start making your visits?
Next year, or in the summertime, LSU, USC, Texas, Florida State, and Georgia coming at me real strong.
Okay, how tough is it at practice between you guys?
We compete.
And don't tell me you don't, because I know you do, because I've been there and I've seen it, okay?
We compete every day. I mean, a couple of fights, but you know, that's my brother.
How does he make you better, Stanley, and vice versa?
Oh, my 9th grade year coming in, you know, he coming against me every day. He was the best cornerback, so I go against him every day. And that just made me better.
You've been the shutdown guy, you know. I mean, they put you on the guy that they want to shut down, and so what about it with him in practice? How good is he?
I mean, he real good. Not trying to buck his head up or nothing, but he real good. He better than some of the receivers I went against this year. So I think he definitely one of the best in the nation. But I go against him in practice just to make him better, because he make me better also.
You had so many guys at the Under Armour game, Speedy and Malachi and Jerry Willis, a lot of guys local that you know. How much did you guys talk about the process of recruiting?
We really didn't talk. We really didn't talk that much. We pretty stayed to ourselves. We just was competing. We really didn't talk.
Stanley, you are coached by your position coach, Adrian Burnett. Was a pretty fair receiver at Tulane. Was a member of the undefeated team in 1998. And you know, you talk about working with him. How much has he helped you?
He helps a lot with my route running and just blocking. And that's what all my coaches talk about is blocking. You gotta have a receiver that can block, and that's the biggest part. And catching with your hands, last 6 inches.
Jermaine, you're a two-time All-State guy. You had 9 interceptions last year. You had a bunch this year. What player do you admire? Do you kind of like to be like in the highest level? What player do you think would best describe your skills?
I always say Tyrann Mathieu, but I like Richard Sherman too. But I like Tyrann Mathieu too.
Stanley, what about you?
Like Landry, Jarvis Landry, LSU. Yeah, he's a good receiver.
Both you guys. What's it been like playing with a guy who is regarded as the #1 prep recruit, excuse me, in the country? You know, how has that been for you, you know, these last 2-3 years? You know, just talk about the experience. Give us some, for instances of things where you know that, we're playing with somebody that a lot of people are chasing.
I mean, it's good because he getting everybody looked at. So when a coach comes to the game to watch him, they might see a linebacker, a defensive back. They, like, just in case they don't get him, they get the linebacker.
Stanley?
This has been a big brother to me, showing everybody the way. It's been a leader.
Is it like traveling with a rock star or something?
I don't even, I really don't look at him like that. I just look at him like a big brother. I don't really look at the fame or nothing.
Now, Stanley, you do something that impresses me. You really are a good blocker. You run routes very well, got Velcro hands. Is that something you worked on? Is that something that's come naturally to you?
Catching, the catching came natural, but I had to really work on my blocking. My 9th grade, I wasn't too good on blocking and my route running and getting off the ball when somebody's jamming you. I had to really work on that.
Jermaine, you got great hips, good closing speed. What areas do you feel like you need to work on that, that you'd like to get a little better in before you step on campus?
I mean, I definitely want to get stronger so I can control the line of scrimmage, like jamming. So, there's always room to improve. So, my technique, I can just keep getting better with my technique.
And you're a good tackler. I mean, that's surprising. People don't know that. You're not the biggest corner, but you can come up and field pretty well. That's something you worked on.
I mean, yeah, not really in practice because nobody want to hit a 250-pound running back every time. So I just try to work on it during the game.
Stanley, we asked Coach Crutchfield earlier about what kind of team St. Aug will have next year. As a returning junior, what about it? What do you see for next year?
I see us throwing the ball a lot more. We have Leonard, little brother, coming back. So I really don't know. We just got to work in the summer real hard because we got a lot of young guys coming in.
He is Stanley Morgan, and I need to mention, you know, the first time I heard his name, I thought about Stanley Morgan, the University of Tennessee wide receiver of years ago, and the New England Patriot, and I said, I wonder if he's related. Well, I asked him, and no, he isn't. However, if you Google Stanley Morgan, you'll see the information on the guy who played for Tennessee, but you'll see his picture. So, shows you Google can make some mistakes. Stanley Morgan, outstanding wide receiver, St. Augustine High School, a junior, and Jermaine Roberts, committed to the University of Texas, and will visit Ohio State University. Guys, thanks for being here on Prep Recruiting Insider.
Thank you.
We'll be right back to wrap it up here on PRI from NOLA Motorsports Park. Hey, welcome back. There you see it, NOLA Motorsports Park, our home here for Prep Recruiting Insider. There's the address, 11075 Nicole Boulevard, Avondale, Louisiana. And there you see the phone number, 4875. That's NOLA Motorsports Park, the place for speed. Come on out. Kart riding, the whole works. 11075 Nicole Boulevard, Avondale, Louisiana. As I said, just can't wait to get on those carts and come on out here and have your meetings here in the event center. Renee Nadeau, it has been an action-packed show. I want to thank the Brother Martin Crusaders, Coach Mark Wenise and his crew, and head coach Cyril Crutchfield of the St. Augustine Purple Knights, and some of his charges joining us here on PRI.
It was a lot of fun, and we got a lot of shows left to come. We're going to be going beyond signing days, so stay tuned. Next week, the Jesuit Blue Jays will be with us, and we'll talk about the 20 commandments of recruiting. You don't want to miss that. If you're a recruit or a relative of a recruit, something you may want to look at.
Well, wait a minute. 20 Commandments of Recruiting. This is something that you wrote there on Sports
yeah,
Noah.
the story I wrote.
Can you give me one? Come on. Come on.
You got to watch this show next week to find out. It's something you really need to know. If you're going to be a recruit or you're being recruited, you really need to check this list out.
Once again, as you said, Leonard Fournette headed to LSU, committed there, and Speedy Noyle, as you said at the top of the show, will go to Texas A&M. Thank you for joining us here on Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park. We are at the event center. Nice place. Hold your meeting, hold your parties, hold your receptions. We'll see you next time.